what are the top 3 myths related to deep learning? Let us see. Myth number 1. Deep learning has taken over ML and traditional machine learning techniques are not important to learn anymore. This is simply not true. If you look at the 80-20 rule, most of the applications in real world are driven by the so-called standard machine learning techniques like your random forests, XGBoost, support vector machines, and so on, and not necessarily complex deep learning models. And they are deriving a lot of business value and creating impact. So it's very important for one to learn the standard machine learning models and the fundamentals of machine learning before going on to building more complex models using deep learning. Myth number 2. If I have a lot of data, I need to use deep learning. Once again, this is not true always. So even if you have a lot of data, you can very often do well with models like your standard random forest or XGBoost and so on. Now, when do you need deep learning though? You need deep learning if your problem necessitates it. Which means if you have to build a very complex model or you need to find a complex function to fit your data that cannot be achieved by standard techniques. In this case, you can use deep learning to build a complex enough model by using more hidden layers and more number of nodes in a layer and using various architectures to model the problem at hand. Now, if you have a lot of parameters in your network, you will require a lot of data, which is where a lot of data comes in. But the vice versa need not always be true, which means if you have a lot of data, it is not always necessary to use a deep learning model. Myth number 3. I cannot get started with deep learning because I do not have a powerful enough system with a GPU. So this is once again not true because most of the deep learning models can run on CPU. And if you have a lot of parameters in your model, it might take more time. But then if you're a starter, if you're a beginner, you can actually try to first do this model on your CPU with, let's say maybe you can take fewer parameters, take a simpler model there and take a subset of your data and you can first work with it on your CPU. And then if you find that it's taking a lot of time, you can actually rent a computer on the cloud. You can rent a system on the cloud like AWS or any other cloud platform and run your model on a GPU on any of the standard platforms. So once again, it's pretty okay to get started with a CPU-based system when you're building a model. Hope this was useful to you. Thank you.